going.
Hello,
Yes.
everybody. Welcome to this Awake, Aware, Arise webinar session as part of our virtual conference at Coacharya. Today is the last day of the conference. Gosh, that happened far too fast, but feel very honoured to be here today with Fiona, who is an absolutely wonderful person. And we're going to be talking about what's love got to do with it? What has love got to do with it? To do with education, to do with our purpose, to do with just being. So, yes, I would love you all. Love, you see, I'm going to be saying this word a lot. I would love you all to introduce yourselves in the chat, select all panelists and attendees on the chat box, and tell us where you're from. Tell us anything, where you're from, something lovely. That would be wonderful. So I'm Leah Black. I am the Coacharya Youth Program Lead, and I'm also the founder of the Youth Mentor Coach. Absolutely passionate, completely love my work. I've been working with young people for about 15 years plus now. I lose track. I think I've got too used to saying 15. It's probably 16. I don't know. I've worked with young people from all across the world, from all types of backgrounds in completely different settings. I've worked with young people associated with gangs, young people in a mental health setting, in schools, in coaching, mentoring, orphans. I've worked with so many different people and communities as well. So I'm going to be entering this session from that perspective of working with youth. And Fiona, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you. So lovely to be with you. We've met a few times and we've exchanged ideas, and I was just so pleased when Coach Aria suggested that you would be somebody I would enjoy talking with, dialoguing with, because we both have a real passion, a lifelong passion probably, for learning and the whole field of education right across the board, from children right through to adults of all ages. And as you know, I just love learning. So not only do I love learning, but I also love facilitating people to learn. And I noticed when I look back over my career, I've been doing it since I was in my family, trying to teach my parents to get on better. So, because they weren't, my stepfather and mother weren't terribly happy. And so, you know, I really wanted to help them feel better. But of course, you can't do that as a small child. But I know that that's where it started, actually, wanting to just help people get on better, to really find a way to love each other despite their differences. And so in a way, that theme stayed with me all my professional career as well. So I've been a mental health social worker, I've been an academic, I've been a psychotherapist, I've been a coach, and now I supervise coaches. So, and it's all about learning, accompanying people to learn and be their true selves. You know, overcome their fears and start to love themselves, and then bring that love into their work. So, gosh, that was quite a long introduction anyway.
It
That's
was a
who I am.
beautiful introduction, and it shows where love, your passion for your work came from and why you do what you do. And I know when we've spoken before, Fiona, that it's similar in the sense that it was family in a way, and the experience that we have when we're younger that take us on those paths. And I know for myself, I never ever dreamt of working with teenagers, especially when I was a teenager. There was no way I would have imagined working with teenagers. And I love nature and went down a different route. I studied wildlife conservation biology, and I did that as a job for many years. And it was just when I was doing that as a job, and I had young people coming to the nature reserve. So I was doing environmental education and helping maybe young people who had learning difficulties, disabilities, to do some voluntary work in the forests. And it was beautiful. And I noticed a connection that I had never experienced before. And that connection with myself and young people was so much stronger than the work I was doing. And I realized it's because as a teenager, I'd experienced so many unusual, not so nice things that I had a little bit more empathy or understanding about what a lot of these young people may be experiencing. And that completely took me on another route, which is now helping people all the time whilst living in nature, though.
Mm. But that's a wonderful story of how you came into this field. And when I think back to the career I've told you a bit about, the many different levels of work I've been doing, the, one of the biggest things that helped me as a small child was being in nature. You know, I think before probably the age of 7, my mother and sister and I, before my mother remarried, we spent time in our little village with all the children playing, and just across the road was a huge field, and we used to play there, all the kids in the village. And luckily, because I'm a twin, there were twin boys living next door, so the 4 of us would play together in this field and build dens and have a wonderful time. And I'm sure that helped me weather what came later, actually. So nature's always meant a lot to me. I mean, even now I'm still, where is it? Collecting conkers. So I love this time of year. I go out and I see these little shiny brown things and I put them in my pocket. So, you know, I'm still a child at heart, really.
That's why we get on. Me too. I have a kitchen full of chestnuts because I love nothing more than going into the forest and picking up chestnuts and getting that connection with nature still now. And Fiona, I'm wondering, should we ask everyone here, what is love? Because I am intrigued as to what love actually
Yes,
is.
well, what is love for them? Yeah.
Please do. Write your answer to that in the chat box. How do you interpret love? What does love actually mean to you? Fiona, can I ask you the same question?
Sure. I think the kind of love that I want us to, I'm sure we'll talk about more, is the kind of love that occurs between people when they're truly respectful and caring and compassionate, and not the kind of love that's grasping or wanting to hold on to or dominate. But more in our lovely Martin Buber, the I thou relationship, it's just simply being together and opening one's heart. That to me is the kind of love that we're talking about. And I just long to see more of that in the world.
Thank you. I love that. We honestly should be keeping a tally of the amount of times that we say the word love. I reckon that in itself might be sending signs out into the universe to increase the levels of love. And let's see what everyone said. We have open heart, energy, and compassionate action. I like that. Love in action.
Yes.
Affection. Love is being able to see the presence of the creator in others or self. Regard and gratitude. Love is giving and should feel safe. Oh, keep these arriving. This is beautiful. Wonderful. I think for me, I feel love is bigger than a relationship. So I've always felt a strong, I don't know whether I'd say affinity, but a connection obviously with nature. But I think because of the experiences I had when I was younger, I think my love is connecting with natural beauty, with what beauty is. Love for me is connecting with others, learning about others' cultures, others' experiences. It's understanding others. It's not a demand. It's not locked away. It's like freedom. Freedom is the word
lovely.
that I would use. It is. And then obviously there's love between people. And that again for me is freedom to be who we are. And yes, definitely here, unconditional positive regard. Absolutely. I love unconditional positive regard. I think I say that too many times as well. My husband didn't know what that was until recently. Now he knows it very well. Okay. Love is accepting people as they are, not counting flaws, no conditions, no expectations, only giving, sharing, and sacrificing. A deep connection characterized by suspension of judgment, respect and sense of giving, kindness, compassion.
So it sounds as if those of us who are with us, those of folk who's with us, we're on the same page. So in a way, that's rather wonderful and touching to know that we've all used similar sorts of words. And I guess, my heart feels quite full actually, hearing what people are saying or writing. It's wonderful, wonderful.
I'm quite intrigued by the love in action. So it's action. What is love in action? How do we show love? What do we do?
Well, first thing to say, and I know I sent you a paper on this, what Heart Math have discovered, that lovely company in California, or wherever, that the heart energy we can have within our own being will transmit itself energetically into the relational field. And so to prepare ourselves to be loving, to open our hearts, has a huge impact on the people we're with. And when we have that open-hearted sense of ourselves, it transmits itself, it resonates. And it resonates far more than simply thinking together with somebody. If we add heart energy to our thoughts, it's a great combination, because then both sides of the brain are working together. Because heart energy creates safety. So that's the other feature of bringing love into learning, is that it creates safety. And we learn best when we feel safe. And heart energy is key to that.
So that's the word safety. That really rings with me with love, because I don't believe that all children and young people in this world really know what love is and don't actually feel safe a lot of the time. And some of my work, well, a lot of my work was in child protection. And in the UK, in England, so just in England, I think it was during 2018, 2019, there were 19,000 victims of child sexual exploitation registered in the UK. And I know this is everyone's like, what? You know, this is a horrible thing to mention, but something's missing there with the word safety. There's an epidemic
There is
exploitation there.
There is.
And not only that, we currently have a mental health epidemic as well globally that's being recorded. There are young people, joining gangs because a lot of them want to feel they belong. Maybe they don't have connection with their family. Maybe they're not shown love. And they look for love in other places to find that safety, but then they're not safe. And that's the same with exploitation. Sometimes you're looking for love, but in the wrong places.
The wrong place.
To find that partner, to find that sense of feeling safe when actually that safety is false there.
False safety. And the people who are engaged in trafficking and exploitation of that kind, abuse of all sorts of different kinds, they too lack that capacity. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about a man I met when I did some prison work in northeast Scotland some years ago. A group of us met over a weekend and shared something of the losses and the changes in our lives. And in the prison, these were all prisoners from all parts of Scotland. And some of us, the few of us who were involved in prison work already, met together over a long weekend. And one of the things we did together was sing. We sang every day we met over the 3 days. And I happened to sit next to a man, and I was pretty nervous because I knew they were all, how should we say, ne'er-do-wells. So anyway, I discovered this chap was actually a very tender-hearted, sweet guy who, when I was weeping at one point, he put his arm around me, and we discussed together what had brought us to this place in our lives. And he said, I was a child sexual abuser. And I said, can you tell me more? What's happened to you to bring you to this place? And of course, he was abused dreadfully as a small boy, dreadfully. So I met him as a human being, not just a criminal. And it made me realize actually that when we get behind the if you like, the behavior and see the real human being, we see the possibility of, let's call it redemption, of change. And the love we felt for each other in that moment was very deep. And in fact, when he came out of prison, I went on visiting him once a week before he left Aberdeen, where we lived. And I was so touched by that relationship. I feel slightly tearful remembering it, actually. He was such a sweet guy. But I had been afraid of him to start with, because I hadn't got behind my fantasy about what he was like. So it's a very personal story, but I tell it because it seems to me when we can get behind the behavior and see the person, then they too will start to get more in touch with the real person that they are. So it is a relational process, and love's at the heart of it. Acceptance.
I think, thank you for sharing that. And for some people, that's extremely hard to be able to understand and to be able to do. And I mean, that's unconditional positive regard at its core. That is having love and trying to accept someone for exactly who they are, no matter what, and seeing that potentiality as well in a person.
Exactly, Leah. And also to recognize we're all frail. We all make mistakes. And to feel that tenderness that comes when we allow that to be the case. Because if we can't bear our own vulnerability, we can't help others bear theirs. And in a way that, like, the mask has to fall off, and it can't fall off, as we said earlier, unless we feel safe. And this guy, we both felt safe with each other. We were held in a safe environment. I mean, a prison. We couldn't get away. And we were held by some wonderful facilitators, I must say. But we were there to explore our own losses. So I wonder if that's also partly what this is about, when we can get alongside others and share our humanity, our common humanity, which is full of loss and change. We're not better than anywhere else. We're all the same. So in a way, when I say I love nature and nature can heal, I often say that. I had a healing experience in that prison. Do you know what? I had a cell on the top floor of the prison, and it was in Peterhead, and my cell door had bars on it, of course, but I could look out to the sea, and sometimes the pigeons would come and sit on my windowsill in the morning. I mean, I won't go on about it. It was just very, very amazing. So anyway.
But that's love in itself, Fiona. The pigeons themselves landing on that window are triggering something within you, and it's...
Yes. Actually, that's thank you for noticing that, because it made such a difference that they were outside and I was inside with the bars, but they were still there, and we could sort of commune together, me and the pigeons.
That freedom. And
Yeah.
you mentioned a word just before, which was fear. And love, I think that's literally the opposite of love. Fear. I mean, and strangely enough, in education and sometimes in different styles of bringing up children, or through social norms and through religion and through other things, we instill fear, the complete opposite of love. There's a quote, now I don't know it off by heart, so bear with me 1 minute while I just find this. Oh, there you go, that was quite quick. There's a quote by John Lennon. John Lennon. There are two basic motivating forces, fear and love. When we are afraid, we pull back from life. When we are in love, we open to all that life has to offer with passion, excitement, and acceptance. We need to learn to love ourselves first in all our glory and our imperfections. If we cannot love ourselves, we cannot fully open to our ability to love others or our potential to create. Evolution and all hopes for a better world rest in the fearlessness and open-hearted vision of people who embrace life. Oh, I love it.
What a wise man.
Yeah, I know. And look what happened. And love is not in action.
Well, unfortunately, some really lovely people are followed and killed because maybe the person who wants to kill them can't bear to hear the story. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
look what happened to Kennedy. You see, I think when we hold ourselves up to the world as loving beings, it's risky.
It is. That's interesting. It's vulnerability, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Because we try to hold on to things like material things or people. I mean, oh, even myself when I was younger, you want to hold on to someone, you don't want to let them go. Again, that's the opposite. It's all about freedom. Yeah, we cling, we do, that vulnerability. Even with what we buy and what we purchase and what we put. And actually, that brings me to something I was thinking about yesterday. We have somehow managed to commercialize love. And I think of Valentine's Day, and I think love has been commercialized, and that must be so confusing for children and teenagers when they see a specific day for love. All the stuff is couples together, hearts between two people, and that's what love is, apparently. But it's not. And I wonder whether there's an absolute misinterpretation there of love.
I think you're right, and actually, it's distressing to be reminded of that, actually, because it's not what we're talking about here. But we must acknowledge that that's maybe the shadow side of this. That there's that grasping, you must have this, and if only if you look like this or whatever, you can't have love. I mean, it's ghastly. So Botoxing and terrible things. And so what we would long for is the kind of love that's about people development, about them learning to love themselves and feeling free to be themselves, and to do that in a way that's, as we said earlier, lots of people open-heartedly. But unless you've got that capacity, you have to operate from an inside which is full of hate, possibly, and longing, and maybe the belief that you're not good enough unless you do this or say that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So Fiona, I'd like to ask everyone actually that's watching, because I think it's a question that isn't pondered enough, and especially not by schools or teachers or social workers, other things, which is, how do we learn love? How do we learn about love? I'd love to know.
Well, should we
How do
wait
we
to hear what people say before we say more?
Definitely. You all write in the box, how do you learn to love? I'd be very intrigued. And I think while people are doing that, for me, love is a ripple effect as well. Just that little inch of love can ripple across not just homes, but communities, countries, and so on and so forth. It's that's an interesting, that answer is nearly the same as what you said before, Fiona. We start learning when we are in our mother's womb.
That's right.
Live openly.
And if we're fortunate to have been conceived in a moment of love, then that's really important. Not everybody has that fortune, unfortunately.
No. And some people don't love the child they're holding, even when inside, and don't want that. So how do those children then learn love if they haven't entered the world through love? Maybe they haven't. By example, by being open to others, generosity of spirit, their kindness and care. Love is learnt as a value. So how do children know then? How do teenagers know what a value is? How do they know what generosity is? How do they know what kindness is and care?
They can't until they meet somebody who is kind and who is prepared to sit with them through whatever miseries they have, whatever difficulties they have, and doesn't give up on them. I think that's key, actually. so many children are given up on because they're badly behaved and sent off to places. And actually, do you know, years ago when I was teaching social workers, I used to go and visit the places they were having their placements in. And one of them I went to every year was a school for maladjusted children. And guess what? They had lots of loving attention from the staff who would sit with them of an evening and say, any difficulties today, kids, any difficulties? And they would help them resolve them. Loving attention to the children who were having difficulties with each other. They weren't sent off somewhere or hit. They were given a really beautifully safe, loving environment, but they had to be maladjusted to get there. Oh, you know. I mean, we're talking about the 60s and 70s here. It was a long time ago, and hopefully things have improved. But there
I
are
don't think it
schools.
has.
There are schools called reform schools, aren't there?
There are. I think in some circumstances it's changed, and
I
in
hope so.
others it hasn't. And I've seen quite different examples. I know from myself, Fiona, I through school, I did not see that love from teachers, and in fact, I couldn't care less about them. I wouldn't even speak about them now. I wouldn't give them the time of day. They did nothing to see that there were things going on in my life,
Mm,
and I needed love. I did, and I
mm.
didn't quite get it at that time. And bearing in mind I was a child, this might sound wrong now. I'm saying it as an adult, and there was one teacher, one. And he didn't do much. He told me I had a talent in biology. No one had said I was good at anything. I was a little bit naughty. I was lucky I was in there. I very rarely attended school, and he noticed something in me, and he said, you know, would you like me to give you extra lessons and support? And he took me to nature reserves, and he taught me everything. And I became a biologist, even though I didn't get the GCSEs required to do A levels. I had to go through a different route, but I never gave up, and he never gave up. So what
That's
you said, actually, that
so
for
true.
me
Yeah,
was
I think
the
that's how wonderful you had that experience.
I was lucky.
It reminds me, oh gosh, it's so beautiful a story.
Yeah.
Just taking that in and remembering some of the teachers I had. Anyway, what I was going to say was a very dear person who supervised my work when I was a therapist. We talked about, you know, the impact of our early life experiences, and she said, my mother just wasn't able to be there for me, but I always found other mothers, she said, whether it was a school teacher or a neighbor or a friend's mother. And I think there is a longing to find somebody, and sometimes we are noticed. And the people who notice us can see beyond the bad behavior or beyond the difficulty. And I think that's what changes us, isn't it? That we are seen as human beings in a situation of need, but maybe not able to articulate it.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
seen for what we can bring to this world, that we have potential, and that
Exactly.
someone cares, someone believes in you, so you can believe in yourself. A child needs that. They need to see that someone really believes in them and is
That's right.
there for them. And I remember I would find love from animals. I would make friends with all the dogs that possibly were around my town. And that's how I experienced love. And actually, I believe that's how I became, I would say, a caring person that I am today, was purely through walking miles to go and see the horses in a local stables, which would take me 2 hours to get there. And then I'd get there and give love to the horses, and they give it back. And I think it's not just people as well. Animals, I've got to give them credit. They have definitely shown me what unconditional love
Yeah.
is. Again, something I'm not sure we're taught in schools.
Well, unless there are opportunities, and when I was in boarding school and I was allowed to keep pets, and I kept a couple of little bantam hens, and they used to lay eggs for me. Oh, little tiny eggs, you know, and I cared for them, and they all used to kind of come and see me when I went out to feed them. I mean, I think you're right. And that was such a delight for me to have that opportunity. Just wonderful. And as I've grown up, I've had cats and dogs, and that wonderful feeling of, oh, you're home. Can I sit on your lap, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Animals can really remind us that we're lovable.
Yeah, they do. They show what real love is without condition,
Exactly.
without
Yeah. Like
demand for food.
yeah, you're late.
Maybe. Yes. Feed me.
Where's my
And
dinner?
I think that's lovely your school allowed you to have pets. Some schools do. I think nowadays, because of allergies and health and safety, pets are restrictive now in a lot of schools. But getting out in nature, seeing wildlife, connecting to the trees, I love trees.
Yes, me
That's a
too.
different type of love. I think, I don't know, that is an absolute feeling that I am one with this earth,
Yeah.
and that we're all connected. I really believe a little bit of me is in you and in everyone watching this. And if we thought a bit more like that, then the things that we do, we would think more lovingly. So even, for example, the clothes that we're wearing and jewelry, do we ever think about where that's come from? Who has made that? Who has dug the gems out of the ground, and how it's actually got to us, to our house, to our body, the impact on the climate through. And love for me is something just so much bigger. So it's connection as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see what's so interesting listening to you is that you've opened yourself up to the possibilities of our interconnectedness with animals, with nature. And I think when people haven't had the experience of being cared about, cared for, they're shut off from that possibility. It's like they've got, a blindfold on, covering their eyes and their hearts. And when they really feel cared for, which is what the work that you do with young people, and I do a bit one-to-one with people, is that you allow them just to take off the blindfold, open their hearts, and then they can see the wonders of nature. Then they can feel alive when they're out walking in the woods and want to hug trees, pick up stones on the beach and all that. But they have to be loved and cared for to take the blind off, to open the doors of the heart. Because until you do that, you can't see. You can't allow nature to touch you. That's my sense.
How can we do this? I love it. I think, how can we do this then? Because we have our imprinting years, the plasticity in our brains as children, and especially as teenagers. A lot goes on in that teenage brain that can affect us for the rest of our lives, which is why I'm so passionate about this. It's not just the topic, it's the science behind it. We have like a limited amount of time to make either an extremely bad impact or a really good impact. So how teachers can do that. And I know people have put here, through experience, to love through experience. Yes. What experiences can we enable children, young people, to have to experience love? Learn from family, society, elders, and experience again. I think experience is key. If that teacher hadn't have taken me to a nature reserve, my love of nature might not have come out, and I might not have got a job, and I might have gone down a completely different path. And believe me, I was close. And as well, I see a lot of children who, a lot of schools, they do teach sexual health. Some of them teach that in biology. Sometimes they're quite scared teachers that don't particularly want to do it, so they just fill it in quickly, or they don't teach relationships and what consent is and what love really is, that bigger picture. And even though personal social health education has only just been made mandatory in the UK, I think it was 2 years ago, don't quote me to the date, 2 or 3 years ago, didn't have to teach it before. Now they're trying. However, I strongly believe that it shouldn't be down to one teacher and one topic. I feel, so for example, there was a girl that I worked with who learned that she was being sexually exploited by watching a TV sitcom series. Didn't know, because she didn't know what consent was. She didn't know what real love. She didn't understand that love wasn't the perfume she was being bought, the alcohol she was being given, the attention, the fact there were many men that wanted to love her because she actually thought that that was okay, until she saw it on a TV series. if I had a child, and I don't have children, but I certainly work with enough of them, I would not want them to learn from TV or music about the topic of love. No way. I would want them to learn from me
Mm,
and from the people that we're
mm,
surrounded by, our communities and our schools. And I
mm,
really strongly believe that teachers should be taught about unconditional positive regard, empathy, congruence, love in general, connection, communication skills, all these things during their training. That's where I feel it should start a lot, even before we think of the delivery and the action. Let's think about the people who have the responsibility
mm,
to bring love, and that they should also love their job, have a passion for their job, because when we're passionate about what we do, it emanates, it spreads to the children and the people around us, and they can see that love and then understand what a love for a job is, a love for a career
mm.
is. So yeah, I don't know. I think things are changing in the UK. The rest of the world, I don't know. I work in different countries, and no, PSHE definitely is not mandatory in many countries. But I worry sometimes that schooling is preparing young people to be workers, to fulfill the economy, the economical need, rather than preparing young people for work, for adulthood,
For life, actually.
for life.
Yeah, for what it's like to be a relational human being. And unless, as you say, unless teachers are on their courses enabled to get to know themselves as people and all their frailties, their strengths, and how they can learn to control their emotions when they're challenged in the classroom and not start to get hostile with the children, but to deal with all the things that happen, because classrooms are full of stuff, aren't they? Children doing and saying and behaving as children do. And unless the teachers are steadfast enough to cope with that, children don't have a role model.
Absolutely. Role model.
Mm.
That's a key word.
It's modeling. And if you can set up a culture in a school where all the staff from the head down can model kindness and compassion and relational skills. It doesn't have to be on the curriculum, it just has to be part of what's like to be there. Step in the door. Ah, I'm safe. I'm not going to be bullied here. Or when I am, somebody will help me.
Which
It's like a
doesn't.
whole culture change, isn't it? Not just an hour a week on the syllabus. Oh, like you can deliver
No.
it like a package.
Yeah. Here's our topic today: life,
Oh,
love.
mm,
Okay. See you next week, everybody. No, it should be as important as having an hour for lunch. It's
yes.
like eating lunch. It's a need. It's on Maslow's hierarchy of need. In fact, it really gets to me because this topic, love, is a basic human need. Not only that, it's a basic human right.
And also the capacity to love is built in biologically. We are biologically relational creatures. And it's that cutting off that happens when we're not loved in return as tiny ones.
Yeah.
So our job is to open that. It's a bit like the self as a castle and the drawbridge goes up when we're little and we don't get loved. And it's like, how do you let the drawbridge down and let other people into yourself? Open the door of your heart, because that room
Nice.
gets closed off when we're
I
not
like
loved.
that. Do you know, it's this fear again. So in schools, there's a chart. If you've been misbehaving, you go on the chart. Or if you've been naughty, you're in exclusion, or a horrible name for a room where you have to stay for a week or a day or a few hours. It's all based on fear as a way to improve behavior instead of having a chart for kindness. We
Mm,
could literally do the opposite of
mm,
what's happening there. Okay, we're gonna have this chart for kindness. Who's kind? You go on it. And then we can talk about why they were kind. What did
mm,
they do that was kind? Why is this important? How does
mm.
this help people? A real conversation
There's a
with
real
them.
reframing needed, isn't there? A real reframing. Yeah. I was belted as a child for getting my things wrong in class. This is the 50s in Scotland, and they belted children who got their sums wrong. I mean, it's just outrageous. I mean, it wouldn't happen now, but there's that assumption that you're bad. Not, maybe I need an extra bit of teaching, or can you help me with this problem? Are children still hit in schools?
They are in some countries. Yes, I know some countries I work in Africa have recently banned punishment in schools that, that's physical punishment, but it's only slowly being incorporated. It's I've definitely, unfortunately, seen or heard that it still continues in a lot of schools. And I know when I've worked with naughty children, when I've worked with naughty children, people say to me, "Oh, Leah, you're like magic. They're just lovely when they're with you. They work hard. They what's the trick?
Yes.
What's the secret? Unconditional positive regard, congruence, empathy, love, communication, open questions, actually wanting to know about that person and what they love, what they enjoy doing. It's like, okay, we're going to play a game for the first 15 minutes, and then you're going to work really hard for 30 minutes, tick all those boxes for everybody else so you don't end up on the naughty chart. And then the final 15 minutes, if you've worked really well, we can do a treasure hunt or play a game and talk. And I guarantee you, the naughtiest of, I mean, I say naughty, these are probably 15, 14-year-olds are pretty angry, actually. Where's that anger come from? A lack of love, things going on. They open up, they're soft, they're lovely.
And you see, that's so beautiful to hear, actually, because can you imagine senior executives in organizations or even academics working with adult learners actually being playful? You know, I taught in university for 18 years, and luckily in a very small department with just a few of us, there were 6 of us, and 3 of the staff were ex-residential childcare people. So, you know, when I described earlier on visiting a school for maladjusted children, they had the experience of co-created learning opportunities. So we didn't just kind of say, oh, well, actually, we're here to teach you. There's this lecture I'm going to give you, you know, all that stuff. We used to work in twos, my colleagues and I. We very often we developed a classroom situation where people could learn together, experiential learning. And one of the things that I remember so well is I co-constructed a course with the students in their second year on personal and social development by using novels and plays. And we gathered together bits of literature, sections from plays and so on. And the whole course was constructed together by using that. And it was great. It was just great. And so there's that whole idea that can you actually teach and learn collaboratively? That's what I'm trying to say. Because if you're sitting in row upon row in a lecture, tiered lecture theatre, what are you going to learn? Oh, there's the expert. Well, actually, I might be an expert. The assumption is that we're there to have our heads filled, not to have our hearts open.
Have our heads
Adult
filled.
learning has the same need. As adults, we have the same need as children.
We do, because we're human.
So important. And I know a number of academics who are deeply cut off from themselves because their intellect has been valued and prized. And hey, presto, I was like that to start with. And then I had some therapy and I woke up and opened my heart. But so many academics are cut off from their emotions. And of course, it's huge pressure to publish research, do research, write papers. But where is the whole human being valued? Not many places. So I'm really passionate about changing the way higher education works for the reasons you want children's schools to change. Same reason. And love's at the heart of it.
How would you change it if you had the ability to go, this is how I would change the way things are delivered, what exactly would you do? What would be the first thing you would do?
The first thing I would do would be set up a meeting for people saying, this is what I'd like to do. Who would like to join me? So find allies, because you can't change a whole culture. You've got to change it bit by bit, which is what we did in our department all those years ago. Find allies, talk about what it means. What are our challenges? What do we need to learn to become able to teach in this kind of way? And can we support each other to do that? And I know of one or two courses in this country where they teach mindfulness, for example, or they teach group relation skills. I mean, when I worked in university, we had a department where we set up seminars for staff who wanted to learn how to run their tutorial groups. And they just didn't anyway, I won't go to it, but some universities have staff development opportunities, but that's how I would do it, little at a time, and create little micro cultures where the change begins to happen. And then of course word gets round. But the passion for that has to be there, and the skill, the facilitation skill, and the will, all that. And I think a lot of academics, well, maybe not a lot, but enough academics might be rather pleased to do that. I used to call myself a recovering academic when I left the university because part of me needed to recover from that kind of, oh, we're only interested in your head, not your heart. It was a tough environment, really, to survive in. But it's a long answer to your question, Leah.
I really like it. It's culture, changing cultures. It's collective, it's collaborative, it's connection. It's not individual, stand alone and do this.
You can't do it alone. It has to be in a relationship. Yeah.
You made me laugh talking about lectures. I remembered my lectures when I was studying sciences, and it was all, I mean, I fell asleep, I'm pretty sure, for half of it. But there was one lecturer who absolutely inspired me. He was bonkers in a really nice way, and he'd jump across the stage and he'd use drama to show us what he meant about evolution, and oh, it was hilarious, but everyone was so engaged. And then he'd get people to join in, so we'd actively do drama and song and music. It was, I mean, out of all the lecturers, he's the only one I remember.
Of course.
Dodgy ones I remember for wrong reasons, but you remember the people that have that passion for what they do. And I mean, anyone that goes into education is to think that a child, a young person, an adult might look up to you, the role model word, and say, because of you, I achieved. I want to be like you one day. Imagine inspiring people in that. I had a class today online. Oh, virtually, I'm all working it out, because as you can tell, I'm someone that does move around too. Maybe he inspired me. And young people, they want to share their voice, and it's exactly what you said before, getting them, they're experts in themselves, they bring a wisdom. We all have a collective wisdom that we tap into. We all have our own knowledge and interpretation of what our knowledge is into wisdom, and they share their thoughts on the topic. I'll teach a little bit, a few facts, and then ask open questions. And then we do team activities, so go into breakout rooms, and they get to know each other, and they love it because it's communication in practice. It's love in practice. And then they learn because of experience, which I'm pointing at the chat box for people that can't see me doing it. Experience. You know,
that's the heart of the matter. To feel something in your whole being that touches you and engages you. And it seems to me really, really important to say that until you can actually wake up that part of somebody, they can't notice a sunrise or a sunset, or go into the woods and hear the birds and the wind rustling in the trees. They're not able to do that. And yet, I have to also say that when you take any adult or any child into an area of outstanding natural beauty, I mean, even the local park, something may wake somebody up. So we can be loved by nature, which is what I'm trying to say, by looking at a tree, and we don't say to the tree, actually, Why aren't you a beech tree? We just say, oh, there's an oak tree. I noticed some this morning when I was out, because the colours at the moment are exquisite. And it seems to me the oak trees at the moment are looking especially gorgeous. And so we don't look at them and say, why aren't you still green? So there's that appreciation of the cycles of nature that actually mirror our own cycles, I think. Do you know what I mean? I mean, for example, oh no, I won't go into my own life story, but well, perhaps I will. I think I'm in the autumn of my life because that's the stage I'm at. But there's also a spring inside me as well. A spring waiting to emerge, perhaps tomorrow. But, you know, I think nature can wake us up and help us grow up, because nature makes no demands. It just is. Like the animals you talked about, they just are. And you see, because this whole series of webinars is about waking up, rising up, taking action. Because actually, unless we learn to love nature and we meet nature heart to heart, we won't be able to change the way we treat Mother Nature. Mother Nature, we owe it to her. But it's interesting that the word mother comes in here again. And Mother Nature can mother us. And we must mother Mother Nature. Let's put it like that. And I mean, in our Western cultures, unlike the indigenous cultures, we don't have a way of honouring nature. I mean, we have harvest festivals in our British churches at this time of year. That's the only ritual to do with harvest, with nature. But the Celts, some of the early settlers in the United Kingdom, they would have wonderful rituals marking every season. It's like a joining with nature, celebrating nature. And somehow that's gone. But the indigenous people can teach us these things when we're ready to learn. We think we know it all in the West. Oh,
oh, we definitely don't. I've learnt so much from living with tribes, so much.
yes, yes.
28 was the first time I lived with a tribe in Ecuador. And from that age onwards, I was a different human being altogether. Yeah. And as you said, it's appreciation and gratitude. It's watching a sunrise and being appreciative, that you're still alive and able to watch that sunrise in the morning, but also the connection to it and what that brings. I'd actually never really seen a sunrise before until last year. It's crazy to think I'd never even really bothered about it, even though I was obsessed by biology and wildlife conservation. I was more impressed by staying in bed. And last year I had a big operation, which meant that I couldn't leave at all. I couldn't walk. I could only walk for 3 minutes with crutches. And this went on for about 3 or 4 months. And I was so desperate to climb the mountains and get into nature. I realized there was a little field, a flat field nearby. So I toodle pip there with my crutches. And one night I couldn't sleep very well. So I got up in the morning and went to this field, and there was the sunrise. I'd never experienced that. I'd never ever experienced that instant connection to realize you're so small and the universe is so big.
Such a powerful insight to realize how small we are. And it's so important, that recognition.
And I go every day now. I mean, it's never stopped, because it's like a mother waking me up in the morning and putting their arms around me and going, right, another day. Come on, you've been given this opportunity. You've been given this miracle. What are you going to do with it? And I will be here to support you. And it's to listen to the hidden words of support that nature brings. It's completely opened my eyes to what love is. Yeah.
The love of Mother Nature, Mother Earth, for us frail, badly behaved human beings.
With the tribes that I've stayed with, there is there's no separation between humanity and nature.
That's it. No separation. Absolutely right.
And it's how you survive.
Mm.
There's, the supermarkets, we've got far too used to them in the West. They're our mother natures, they're our mothers, they feed us. It's on demand. Love isn't demand. Love is connection and finding the food, replenishing, giving back, kindness, caring. Oh, yes. I learned a lot from the tribes.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So, are we finishing in about 5 minutes? Is that what?
We can, yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how long
we have about 10-15 minutes or so.
Okay.
We have a 90-minute slot, but I'm actually teaching some
That's what I
amazing
thought.
young people very, very soon, so I have to leave a little bit early to
Okay, that's fine, as
some
long
love.
as we know what the parameters are. So, any more comments or questions coming up?
There certainly are. So we have expressing genuine love releases the hormone oxytocin, absolutely, which enhances trust, empathy, positive relationship memories, and cements relationships.
Super, lovely point. Yeah, oxytocin. They should put it in the water.
Action. I'll just write that in the diary. Next thing to tweet about, put oxytocin in the water.
I think what they need to do is to pipe it into the House of Commons.
A lot of it.
Supply.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you need liters of the stuff. And Kabat-Zinn sees mindfulness as a love affair with life.
That's beautiful. I love to be reminded of his work. So important.
And they are our loving comments.
Oh, now I know what we talked about a week or two back was about, you asked me to remember to talk about this Japanese scientist who discovered that, in fact, I made a note to mention his name in case people haven't heard of him. Dr. Masaru Emoto, Japanese scientist, who in the early part of this century discovered that our intentions and our thoughts can be directed at water, that when the water is frozen, the crystals that are formed are beautiful. But when you direct hate to water, the crystals are all misshapen. Now, you see, I think that's absolutely fascinating because we are 90% water. So when people are loving towards us, we would form lovely crystals inside us. But isn't that interesting? That we, by our intentions and our attitude towards water is changed. It's astonishing. He's written several books since then, and other people have discovered actually that music also has an impact on what happens to the crystals in water when it's frozen. Mozart apparently makes lovely crystals. So, we're here talking about what's unseen, but scientists are now describing ways of discovering the impact of something we can't see, which is like the heart math people, heart energy. They've looked at heart rhythms, and when our heart rhythms are variable, which they're supposed to be, heart rate variability is key to this, then we can send out really positive vibes to people from our hearts. But when we're anxious or stressed, the tracer on the machine will go wild. So, science is showing us in picture form, this is what happens when you're in a state of coherence. You're in a state of good heart rate variability. Oh, door opens in your heart. If you're all stressed and angry, it doesn't happen. You see, and I think that's wondrous, actually.
I do. I can't believe we nearly forgot that. That, for me, nearly blows my mind.
It is astonishing.
That bad thoughts can create misshapen snowflakes. And the beauty in a snowflake, when it's obviously treated well. Yes. I know it's crystals, but I can imagine a snowflake. Yeah. And there was another study done, Fiona. It wasn't so scientific, but it certainly proved a point, which was by IKEA. And they had two plants. I actually find it quite cruel. I love plants. They had two plants, and they asked people to bully, to say horrific things to one of the plants, and to show love and send love to the other plant. And if you Google it, you'll see the pictures. Maybe it's fake news, but it's very good news. And it is real. And one of the plants, the one that had been bullied, was all withered and tiny and stunted, still alive, but just barely living, barely thriving. And then the one that was showing lots of love was massive and green and absolutely fulfilling its potential, fulfilling its purpose, whatever purpose may be. And just being a plant, it was
Isn't
amazing
that
to
lovely?
see.
Just being a plant that's appreciated and
Like
cared
the
about. It's a
snowflakes.
wonderful story.
They both are. I really like the
Yeah.
science behind this. This isn't just us talking about something, ooh,
But
this is
it's
real.
visible. There's visible
Yeah.
evidence of the power of love and kindness. Absolutely. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we
Yeah.
have here nature is an integral part of us. The
Mm,
story of the tribal in Solomon Island cursing trees to kill. It is a fantastic example. When you love the trees, they respond to you. I need to research that.
mm.
I am definitely someone that talks to trees and sends love to trees. In fact, they're probably the
Oh, I
closest
love
friends I have.
trees as well.
I love them.
Yeah. But I was going to ask if people like, just for a moment, if you were able to choose a place in nature that represented you, what would it be? What comes to mind?
The tree is imprinted for me
Mm.
deeply. I'll be intrigued to see what other people
Yeah,
say. Oh, the
the rainforest. Now, you
rainforest.
see, I thought of a rainforest as well because of the
Yes, I love that.
huge ecology of it, the different creatures and all working together in a dynamic way.
Oh,
Mm.
systemically together, collectively, oneness together. And
Mm.
it is the most biodiverse of all habitats in the
Mm.
world. I do love the rainforest. I might
You
have to
know,
steal that.
a friend who I know is on the call because he mentioned his name earlier. His name is Case. Hello, Case. He was telling me this morning about a place in Amsterdam, a bit of ground that was just, nothing happening on it. And they just left it. And of course, gradually nature took a hold. And he said, no, it's just beautiful. Lots of creatures, lots of growth. Sorry, he's not here to tell you the story himself because he can't do that. But he told it to me and I'm telling it to you. You see, it's another example. Nature knows that it's got the place it can grow into a new biodiverse system and just be itself because no one's getting in the way and planting seeds and digging it up. It just is. And you see that walking down the street, plants growing out of walls, tree roots pushing their way up out of asphalt pavements. Brilliant. Nature finds a way. It's wonderful.
If only we grew out of walls and
Yes.
spread our roots and broke down concrete barriers and just were, yet all supported each other, just
And
like those
also,
plants do.
and the research that's discovered that underneath the floor of the forest, all the roots and the trees they're all connected,
They are.
all feeding each other. I mean, it's just brilliant. And
And
once
they
we
communicate.
exactly, and once we become like that as human beings, collaborating, feeding each other, supporting each other, not fighting and grabbing and hating. Hmm. So
There's a
we've a lot to do.
quote. Oh, sorry, you've just reminded me of a quote, and I did say it yesterday, but I need to say this quote in this webinar. It's related to the fighting because there are many songs like "Fight Fire with Fire,"
Hmm.
but that's not going to work.
Hmm.
You fight with love, with peace. It's the opposite. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, darkness cannot drive out darkness.
Hmm.
Only light can do that.
Yes.
Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
Yes, that's right. That's
I love it.
beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Fiona, didn't you have a poem? I've been looking
Yes,
forward to hearing
actually,
this
you know
poem
what?
all day.
Yes, in fact, this is one of my favourites, and I won't cry when I read it because I find it very moving. Oh, well, maybe, and anyway. It's called Love After Love, and it's written by a Jamaican poet called Derek Walcott, and he says, "The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome. And they will say, 'Sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread. Give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. One day you will love again the stranger who was yourself.'" And I think that's what our work's about, helping people love again the stranger who they had to abandon for another, who knows us and is waiting to be remembered. I love that poem.
What a beautiful poem to end on. I really need to have a copy of that, Fiona. That
I'll
is
send it to you.
absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
Who's the
Oh,
poet?
people are
Yes.
saying the same. Who is the poet?
Okay. It's Derek Walcott, Walcott. We'll find a way to share it. I'm not sure
We
how.
have a LinkedIn group here. I'll
Oh,
post.
okay.
There you go. That's the LinkedIn group
Oh,
for
yes.
the Awake, Aware, Arise discussion. So
Okay.
we can post it on there.
Put it there.
We'll
Yeah.
join, and everyone join it, please.
Mm.
Now, love is all that is. It
Mm.
is everything. And if we don't teach love, show love, enable children to experience love, nothing's
Mm.
going to change on this planet.
Mm.
It's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. This isn't just us talking about something invisible, something, it's a conversation about love. No, this is really serious stuff. We need to make this woven like the roots of those trees in the ground with the fungi and the bacteria and everything else. Otherwise, we're not going to survive as humans.
Sure.
Love is absolutely the answer. So if any teachers watch this, any youth workers, any social workers, any educators, facilitators, inspirers, influencers, depending what you're influencing, just remember love has to be integrated into absolutely everything if we're going to be human.
And there is a song, "Love Makes the World Go Round," and it's so true. So true. Yeah. So
It's the
any
poem.
more in the chat room we need to respond to?
Yes, we have about 5 minutes left. The poem has been posted in the chat. Thank you very much. Oh God, it's beautiful. It is. Thank you, Fiona. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I feel all full of love, and I'm looking forward to watching the sunrise tomorrow, having this discussion in my mind. And I would love everyone to leave this with, what can you do now to implement love into life of yourself first? Because from what we've been saying, self-awareness, loving yourself first is number one, and then being able to love others. So what could you do? What could you take away from this today?
Yes, and I think the idea of watching the sunrise, and then I'm watching it set in the evening. So I usually go out at about sunset time to put the bird seed for the feeders out. You know, I do that at sunset. And I've seen some beautiful skies.
I have the photograph here, I believe, of the sunrise that I can show you if I can find it. Here we go. Sorry, it's just the first sunrise photo I could find. But that is the sunrise that greets me in the morning.
Gorgeous.
Although it wasn't the best photo.
Absolutely beautiful. When did you take that?
That was the first few weeks that I ever saw the sunrise, which was, I think it was April last year.
Oh, it's beautiful.
March, April last year. Yeah. This is love. Everything, absolutely everything. Thank you, Fiona. Sending so much love to you. I wish I could give you a big hug right now.
Oh, and to you, my dear, and to you.
Between socially distancing, and we need a lot more love right now as well.
Yeah,
and actually, people can't touch and they can't show love as easily as before. But
and also, don't forget that you feel love for me and I feel love for you, even though we've never met. Because we've opened our hearts to each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's so beautiful.
And people
and dear Case, who I mentioned, he's my soul brother. We love each other. I mean, I have met him once or twice. He lives in Amsterdam, more than once or twice. But it's that true meeting that brings love, doesn't it?
Yeah.
True meeting.
Connection. I feel strongly that that's the word I'm taking away from today. How much more can I connect here to improve that love? And we have so many comments I'll read just before we finish. I can be open to myself, open to others, and commit to receiving each moment with unconditional positive regard. Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely. And thank you. It's obviously opening up things. I'm really happy to see this. And awesome capture. Thank you. It's actually not the best version. There's a good one on LinkedIn. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, I think I posted it on LinkedIn, Leah Black. You can see the photo. Lights up the sky with warmth and hope. It really does. That's how it felt. Warmth and hope. And there's something when the sun rises, there's a moment of silence. When you sit in nature every day, you start to see things that you never noticed before. And as the sun rises, the birds, the air, everything seems to just have this moment of silence. And it hits your heart because you too are silent and connected with everything at that moment. We have lots of thank yous. Thank you. Thank you for the free-flowing talk and the way love flows. Love flows, never ends. We love you all too. And thank you. Yes, love happens. You just have to notice it. Exactly.
Yes.
Notice
Beautiful.
it. Do it.
Beautiful.
Right. I love you all very, very, very much. Take care. Stay safe. And keep the conversation going on LinkedIn. Thank you.
And thank you all too, and especially to you, dear Leah. Be safe, be well, and go on being brilliant and loving.
You too. You too. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.